Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we currently need to go fetch Bill, and so we are going to do exactly that. At this ascending node here, we will go ahead and fix our inclination a little bit, only 0.6 degrees, so not too much to be done there. 21 meters per second, we actually have enough to do that in this engine, which I'm going to thrust limit down to like 5% at this point, just to make that burn be a little bit longer. There we go. So we're going to warp over to that. And that'll be fine. And then we'll need to create a rescue craft for Bill to take up. But that's fully expected at this point. Honestly, with the amount of YOLO that I did with that, I think it's okay. We got pretty far. All good. So we're going to just start this burn in, well, right now, actually. With a thrust limited down, it's going to be a somewhat lengthy burn, but that's okay. By somewhat lengthy, I mean 13 seconds, so that'll be fine. But this is just a much more manageable burn. Okay, that should be good enough. Yep, fantastic. Now we just need to find when we can intercept. So it'll be not here, I'm sure, but I do not want to do any radial or normal at this point. So we're just going to bring this on around. I think we're going to have to do an orbit. Yeah, looks like we're going to have to do at least one orbit. Actually, that's pretty good. I don't want the apoapsis. I want the intersection point. There we go. Okay, so that's a separation of 4.4 kilometers, which will be absolutely fine. We can bring that down to about 3.7 and maybe a little bit further. I see 3.6. Okay. 3.1. Let's just check our timing here. I saw like a 2.2. Okay. Well, we can just work from here. That'll be fine. Bringing this down to about... What can we get here? 4.7? Sounds good. Well, yeah, we'll just get this a lot closer. Timing is awkward, but that's fine. 3.7? Ooh, okay. Maybe a bit of normal thrown in. That's a negative. Okay. No normal needed. So let's just try that radial here. 3.5, 3.4, 3.3, 3.2. I saw 3.0. 2.8. So finicky. But 2.5. 2.2. 1.8. Ooh, okay. More radial here. That was too much radial. Back that off a little bit. 1.4 kilometers, huh? 1.2. 1.1. Saw 0.8. Yep, there we go. Man. Doesn't really want to get too much closer, but that's okay. Just making very minute adjustments here to try to fine-tune that down a bit. Pretty much just normal at this point as the option. But that normal really doesn't change it. Okay. I mean, this is probably close enough, but that's 0.2. 0.1. Oof. Okay, we'll call that good enough. That'll do. So let's go ahead and orient for that. Fantastic. And we will begin that burn in about 42 minutes. So let's warp on forward towards that. And of course, all we need to do once we're there is transfer Bill over and bring him back to Kerbal. That is our only real goal. Now, we do have enough Delta V to almost certainly intercept the vehicle, but I don't think we have enough Delta V in this to actually rescue the vehicle and return both vehicles. So that's a little awkward for us. Now, this is designed to re-enter, so that should, in theory, be fine. We should have a heat shield right here. Yes. Okay, so we're going to start our burn here in about 30 seconds. Make that 15. And about now. Okay, this is still thrust limited, so I'm going to physics warp here a bit as we finish this off. But once this is done, it should go much faster. There we go. Beautiful. So we've got about 2,000 meters per second in this tank alone, and that's because this is very lightweight. Okay. We'll just get that much closer. There we go. And how'd we do? 1.4 kilometers. Can we fine-tune that at all? No. I'm going to thrust limit this thing down to 4% thrust. And we'll see if we can bring that down at all. That was a little too much, I think. Man, this is very sensitive. I'm going to thrust limit it down to 0.5%. And we're going to want to unthrust limit it before we warp. But there we go. 0.0 kilometers. Let's unthrust limit that. And then once we come around over here, we are going to want to use this as timing for 224.8 meter per second burn. So 224.8 meter per second. And that will be retrograde, but we're going to want to be target retrograde. Not at this maneuver node. So let's go ahead and warp to that. Cool. And I'm going to quick save here in case we generate a Kraken when we load in the vehicle. Hopefully we won't. And this is only a 14-second burn, so that's fascinating. Okay. Let's regular warp in a bit. And this burn starts in about 9 seconds here. I think I'm going to ignore this slightly. If this is only a 14-second burn, then we want to burn this at about now. Okay, I was a little late on that one, but it's all good. I want to burn towards target at this moment. Okay. We are still wanting to burn target retrograde. Actually, we still have a little bit of speed here. So let's bring that on down. But we're close enough. 2, 1, and close enough. Okay. So we're going to bring this on in. I'm going to arm this grabbing unit, but we're just going to head in a little bit. And I don't know what our actual separation here is, but I'm just going to eyeball it from here. That's usually the best bet. So we're going to warp in here a bit. We're only moving at about 3 meters per second. We don't have to be aiming for any particular spot. We just don't want to destroy anything, ideally. Okay. So here we are, much, much closer. And we're going to kill our relative speed shortly here. Okay, this'll do. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. There we go. And at this point, I want to point towards this guy. So let's find out where that is. Okay. Things are very strange in terms of what way we're facing, but it's all good. We want to be facing approximately this way, so we'll bring that in. And we'll just head in at 0.5 meters per second. Cool. And hope that we don't eliminate this. That would be awkward, but I don't think we will. So we'll grab onto that. There we go. Now, we're not going to need most of this fuel here, in all honesty. So we could probably get rid of a significant portion of it. All we need is enough to return home. But I'm going to leave it the way it is. I don't think we need to min-max it in that way. So, where's Bill? Bill was here in the last episode. I didn't do anything. Bill? Where are you at, bud? I don't know where Bill is. Did I leave him in space? I don't think so. Let's find out. Bill, where are you at? Did it bug and move him back to the KSC? I don't know. Let's find out. Well, we can get rid of this engineer mover debris. I don't see Bill orbiting on his own. So maybe he just didn't load in for whatever reason when we attached. Let's check the astronaut complex and find out. Okay, assigned Bill Kerman, Vessel Engineer Mover, which is what it named it after we docked that up. Okay, so he's supposed to be in that vehicle, so I think it was just a display bug. So let's go ahead and get the Engineer Mover here, which is now the Mining Ring Station's name. It did rename it, which makes me a little bit sad, but that's okay. Okay, there's Bill. Fantastic. So we're going to transfer Bill from here. We'll transfer him just into here. Cool. So Bill should now be in here. And then we can release this advanced grabbing unit. And Bill is in this craft. Beautiful. We're going to warp a bit as we get some distance. And then we're going to turn around to orbital retrograde here, which is going to be in what direction? This direction? We should be completely clear to burn that. Cool. So we're going to bring down our orbit. And we are going to bring down our periapsis to be about 70 kilometers for right now. I'm going to take this somewhat cautiously. That's a little too low. Let's bring that back up a bit. Well, technically, it's probably fine. Yeah, it's fine. We'll just burn as we enter the atmosphere here. We've got plenty of delta V for that. So no concern there. And let's go ahead and warp at this point. Have we unloaded the station? Judging by the frame rate, yes. So that's good. We will warp around to about here then. Fantastic. We're going to have a little bit of speed going into the atmosphere here, but it'll be okay. I'm not concerned about that, really. We'll turn around to retrograde. And we'll start burning at, I think, around 80 kilometers. So, here in a moment. Yeah, you can see here we're not quite to our periapsis, but that's obviously not going to be the case. We'll start burning at about 80 kilometers, and we'll just bring this in nice and gently. There we go. So we might want to get some radial burn in here too, but honestly I think this re-entry is fine. We'll just take this down to about 20 kilometers. And most of this is coming off of our top end. Cool. There we go. And we've got plenty of burn for when we are going through the atmosphere. If we so desire. I don't know if we will so desire, but there we go. We are now in Atmo. And let's bring Bill on home. For now, I'm going to do this. We'll separate out the drogues. There we go. All is good. And for now, we're just physics warping through the atmosphere. We can see our apoapsis height dropping nicely, and we're going to have to send Bill out again almost immediately, but that's completely fine. 115, 110. I'm just looking at our apoapsis height here. If we start to see a heat gauge, I will drop out of physics warp and we'll do a bit of a burn. But it's all looking good. Okay, there's a heat gauge. So we'll burn and slow ourselves down even more quickly. And no problem. Are we going to burn all of this fuel out? I mean, I don't think it really matters too much. We could, but I don't think we have to. But I'm okay with burning until we drop down below like a kilometer per second. I mean, again, I don't feel like it really matters too much. I mean, at this point, we're going to be fine just with arrow forces. So let's go ahead and stop that burn and kick back up the physics warp. We're tumbling, but that's completely fine. I have no problem with this. This is actually better for our aerodynamic profile. Drogue chutes go out, and then main chutes go out, and we're completely fine. And down goes Bill, landing in the desert. Got a bit of an oasis over there. Okay. We're now... This is just at sea level? No, it's like 300 meters above sea level. Okay. Now we are just going to gently waft on down to the ground. Fantastic. And then we'll recover Bill and get started on our rescue operation. We just need a higher level engineer to repack those parachutes. And Bill was available, so that'll be just fine. In terms of what we're going to bring to do that, I think we want to refuel it as well as repack the parachutes. So for that, that'll be fine. We'll just let this tumble on over. There we go. And we'll recover. Fantastic. So if we bring a refueling mission, we're going to need to be able to have enough fuel to both bring back the Duna mission and the refueling mission, right? So that would be fine. How much total fuel can the Duna mission store? That's a question. We don't need to completely refill it. That's almost for sure. Let's hop into the tracking station here and let's just check. Can we see from here? I think we can. If we look at the Duna lander and liquid fuel, 1512. Okay. So we know that it's about 1,500 liquid fuel in total. How much is that in comparison to a big orange tank is my question. Let's hop into the VAB. And we know that we're going to need to bring along Bill. So our lifter capsule is going to be a Mark I command pod. Then we're going to want to be able to grab on because there's no docking port on that. So we're going to want an advanced grabbing unit junior. We're going to want to bring this thing back. I'm going to include in a battery pack. That's too small of one. A Z1K? Yes. I'm going to include a battery pack, and then I'm going to include a heat shield here. I want this payload to be very, very lightweight. So a heat shield of 1.25 meters here, and then we'll put in a fairing. Not a fairing. We're going to put in a decoupler, a TD12 decoupler. And we will need parachutes on this, for sure. We will want to have radial mount drogues, and we'll mount those here. And then radial mount mains, ideally. The question is that blocking our hatch? I think it is. Let's swap the sides of these. We'll put the drogues here, and the mains here. So hopefully that's not blocking that hatch. We'll test that before we launch it, though. Okay, so how much fuel is contained in a Jumbo 64? About twice as much fuel as the lander can hold. Sounds good. So obviously this is dumb. We're not going to do that. what we're going to do instead is a fuel tank adapter. And that's going to be one of these bad boys, I'm pretty sure. And then we're going to bring in a Jumbo 64. That will be propelled by a Poodle, and this should be more than enough to intercept that thing and be just fine. So we're going to intercept it and come back and have more than enough fuel for all of that. So that'll be okay. This will decelerate in the atmosphere incredibly quickly. So now we're going to need a 2.5 meter decoupler, so a TD25. And then we would need, ideally, a couple more of these to lift it. And of course, I like to make these first stages orange, because it's kind of SLS-like, I guess. It's, sure, I guess that works. And we're going to go with mainsails, or a singular mainsail. And that's only 1.15 thrust to weight, which is unsurprising. Now, our payload is really this that we're trying to deliver into orbit, fairly unutilized. If we look at the actual delta V of stage 1 here, it's a lot. We've got about 8,000 delta V in that. So that should be plenty. But I do want to lift this with something. Do we want Pollexes here? This is probably a mission for Pollexes. Another good possibility here, actually, would be to liquid fuel our side tanks. I think that that's a good choice here. Those are not correctly placed. Liquid fuel our side tanks like this, and then have an extra pair of mainsails. Are these two mainsails capable of lifting on their own? The answer is not really, but we're going to do something like that. That's 1.52. We could tri-couple them. I don't think that that's necessarily the best idea. That is way too big of a nose cone. That's the nose cone we'd be looking for. We would need to strut this together. We would want to strut it here. I would also like to strut it up here, just to make sure that we don't have any joint issues there. And then we'd bring in a fuel line. Here we go. A fuel line. That would flow in like so. Okay. So it'd be something along the lines of this. Now that's only 1.51 thrust to weight, slightly lower thrust to weight than what I usually target, but overall I think that's acceptable. Now we have no source of power on this other than the alternator on the mainsail. The Poodle does not, I believe. Does the Poodle have an alternator? I always forget, since it's inconsistent now. The Poodle does have an alternator, but I still want to put in at least one solar panel here, just to be on the safe side. We don't need a lot of power on this. So we can just put a single solar panel on the back, like that, and that's probably sufficient to keep us going. Okay. Another option would be to have two solar panels here, and I think that's kind of a better choice. So we'll go ahead and do something kind of like that. Okay, so this should be fully capable of getting us where we want to go. We'll call this the Duna Refueler. There we go. And that should be fine. We want to make sure that Bill is inside of this, not Jeb. There we go. And let's get this thing launched. We've got a little bit of time before the end of the episode here, so let's get this guy into orbit. Should be fine. I don't think we're going to run into any aerodynamic issues either. So let's see. Any moment now, KSP. You can do it. I have faith. There you go. Throttle up. We have no pilot, no SAS module. Yes, that would be a problem. We're going to revert that back to vehicle assembly. And the reason that's a problem, of course, is because we forgot something. Okay, we have no way to actually drive this thing without a pilot. So we are going to put on a pod. We're going to put in a remote guidance unit. That's too big of one. We're going to put in a remote guidance unit like that. Okay, so that means that we're slightly heavier, but that's okay. I'm also going to put in a communications device because I don't want to have our communications drop. So we're going to put that in like on the back here, something kind of like that. Okay. And now it's a little bit too late in the episode to actually launch this, so that will be what we will do next episode. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, Sigma162, JJ Gamer, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Video Games Are Not Real, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.